Yeah.
Although I lived in this bubble that my parents and their friends created for me, my sisters, and our friends,
Right.
there were all these real food issues going on in the 90s and the 2000s where there were people who weren't eating. It wasn't as much as today, though, which is the scary part.
Yeah.
Because back then, you know, community based, like the neighborhoods, the barrios, they made like a child not eating. No, that's impossible.
Welcome, everyone, to Voices at the Root, presented by Why Hunger, where we speak to folks who are looking to build a just world from the ground up. I'm your main man, Hess, here to host, and I'm here with the incomparable JanetZa Miranda. How are you, JanetZa?
I'm doing really well. How are you today?
I am excellent. So thank you for coming out. Shouts out coming from Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. So amazing artist. Had the pleasure of seeing perform a couple times, and just amazing. So pleasure to have you on.
Honored to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So I wanted to get into a bit of the music, right? Because, you know, looking at even like I said, from my perspective as artists as well, you know, artist to artist, looking at kind of the music industry and kind of like this microwaved situation, the way music is produced, you know, kind of like instant and kind of almost loses the soul a little bit. But for you, as someone who creates music, there's a certain rawness and authenticity that, you know, I appreciate, you know, our staff appreciates as well. I know many people you've touched with the music appreciate. So I just wanted to get into like just how did you find your way not only into music but in the pathway of just making such soulfully rich music?
I would say first and foremost my family. My dad specifically taught me and my sisters the roots of Puerto Rican music. My parents came here to Newark, New Jersey in the 70s. So they taught me and my sisters plena y bomba, which is the music of the African diaspora. My dad taught me like right on his feet, made sure that I learned those steps first before I got into merengue, salsa, or anything else, or especially reggaeton, because that was the genre that was popping at the time. And so he wanted to make sure that he enriched me and my sister's lives with the music of the island. It so much so my family would have parrandas every Christmas, 200 people in a one-bedroom apartment, eating Puerto Rican food, drinking coquito, and then seeing like live music. Like my uncle Nemesio, he would play the cuatro, Felix would play the guitar, somebody else would come with the bongos. So I grew up around all these elements of music, and it stayed in my life to this day. Then also my mentors that I met along the way, my educators, who taught me music. Music was involved more in schools back then. So when I was in high school, I went to St. Vincent Academy. It's an all-girls high school. That's a college prep school for young women. The tuition is made affordable for especially Black, Brown, Indigenous women growing up in Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
Prep them up for college. Their numbers are ridiculous. Like 92% graduate college.
Oh, wow.
About 20% go to Ivy League schools.
Nice.
So my sisters are changing the world. Sister June, my first performance was for Friends in Concert, which was a fundraiser that they do. That's how they keep the tuition low.
Right.
They get the alumni to come in and donate and other people. So she had me sing The Prayer by Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli. This was 2 months after 9/11.
Right. Wow.
And her goal in that was to bring the people there to reflect on what just had happened and to offer some peace of mind for what was occurring at the nation at the time.
Right.
I would practice with Dr. Lita Reeves, who was my music teacher. We would practice in the chapel. And every year after that, I was performing at Friends in Concert or any other event that Sister June had. She really loved making sure I would sing. Then I went into college. I went to Caldwell. And I met Dr. Nan Childress, who was a pianist. I met Dr. Laura Greenwald, who was my opera vocal coach. They were my mentors while I was there. They taught me everything they knew, and they supported me and nurtured me to be a strong woman in this industry. Um, After college, I found a job as a waitress at Skipper's in downtown Newark, which is where I met Amina Baraka, Raz Baraka, the honorable mayor.
Yes, yes.
He was the
Legendary.
councilman at the time,
Yeah.
or I think he was a principal at the school at the time, a vice principal.
Yeah.
I met George Benson there, Stanley Jordan, Charles Bradley,
Wow.
Victor Jones, just everyone you could think of.
Yeah.
At Skipper's.
Yeah.
Everyone you could think of. And I learned about jazz. I learned about blues. I learned about authentic artists in those genres. I learned about Etta James, who was the popular one. I learned about Etta Jones, who was the unso popular one, but still two authentic artists.
Right.
Sarah Vaughan, our Queen of Newark,
Yeah.
Sassy.
Yeah.
That's where I fell in love with her. So my mentors began to be men and women.
Yeah.
But it was also always shining on the women who
Yes.
stayed authentic. And those women are the reason why I've remained as authentic as I am today. The thing about this industry is that it's very in your face. It's under a microscope. It's very glam. There's the idea of perfection, the idea of a woman's body. I had friends who are artists who still do it, but they lose touch of themselves because they have to make their body look a certain way
fit an image.
to fit this idea of a woman. And I strive and I applaud myself for remaining natural and authentic with my look to my voice, because it's important to be an example to younger women everywhere that they don't have to. If you want to sing, sing.
Yeah.
It's not how many, oh, you got 1 million followers, or oh, you just got this done, you got that done. No, man, it's about the art. And so I really commend the women, my mentors. Shout out to everyone who shaped this young Boricua Taina here. I really appreciate everyone. It was cousins, aunts, uncles, chosen family, community, which I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But it's all the people that shaped me today. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and I want to go back a bit to in the mix of that with me talking about family and like the culture and things like that and food. You recently did an event with us, Food as a Storyteller.
Yes.
So we appreciate you performing that event.
And the food was so good.
And the food was good, right?
The food was so good.
and I think it's important how we, understand how food plays a role in just like our history, especially for BIPOC folks, right? And especially for the family dynamics, and in certain communities, how, at Why Hunger, we speak to, what are the root causes of hunger and like who are those communities that impact, and it tends to be ours, right? So I wanted to get a bit more of a take of yours, like what type of role did food play for you in your own like history growing up, or did you ever find yourself in spaces dealing with like the boss of access or food? What was food security like? What can you speak on that?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank Why Hunger for focusing on food and insecurities and all of that. It's very important. It's actually full-on social justice.
Absolutely.
Food should be given to everyone. That's my opinion. There's enough land. There's enough water for all of us to eat and drink. But unfortunately, people call that utopia. I'll wait for the day, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, we didn't have a lot. My parents were poor. They were on the poor side. But we did eat every day. Me and my sisters did get food every day. And it was either my mom was cooking every day or, somebody. I lived in a block on Montclair Ave in Broadway, and there was 3 apartment buildings, and we all shared the backyard. So, the moms in their rollers would be outside watching the kids play on their bikes and stuff. It wasn't the best neighborhood.
Right.
But our little area was perfect for us.
You made a utopia where you were.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was mostly Puerto Ricans, a few Cubans, Dominicans, but mostly Caribbean, Taino people.
Yeah.
And the women would share food with each other, especially during the holidays. Like Christmas time, it was Sonia would make pasteles, or this lady made dulce de coco. So that was always happening too. We made sure that the chosen family made sure that people were eating.
Yeah.
Like there was never that we didn't need more. Well, I mean, we did need more. We needed more money, but
Right.
the food was always there for the kids, right?
Yes.
My father and my mother instilled in me and my sisters volunteering.
Yes.
And so one of my first jobs as a kid, as a teenager, was at La Casa de Don Pedro, which is a nonprofit organization in Newark,
Yes.
named after Pedro Albizu Campos, who was the Nationalist Party member of Puerto Rico, who fought for our rights.
Yes, indeed.
And unfortunately was killed in the most brutal way by America and America's political prisoner for many decades.
Wow.
And so La Casa de Don Pedro, and my volunteering there and my working there taught me a lot about what was going on in my community.
Yeah.
Although I lived in this bubble that my parents and their friends created for me, my sisters, and our friends.
Right.
There were all these real food issues going on in the 90s and the 2000s, where there were people who weren't eating. It wasn't as much as today, though, which is the scary part.
Yeah.
Because back then, community-based, like the neighborhoods, the barrios, they made like a child not eating. No, that's impossible.
You made a way, no matter what. Yeah.
But then I remember when I was working at Ironbound Community Corp, another excellent nonprofit organization in Down Neck, Newark, aka
Absolutely.
Ironbound.
ICC, yeah.
ICC, we love you. I was working as the director of development at Cortland, and we would do table to table, which was some collaboration with HelloFresh, where they would donate about 16 to 20 pallets of food, and we would bag the food and give
Pallets
it out.
of food, yeah. Wow, okay.
Of like fresh groceries that, just give it away to the community.
Amazing.
And talking to community members, talking to mothers, like seeing their struggle with getting their kids fed. A lot of mothers depended on school meals. And then when COVID happened, they didn't know what to do. So it's like the problem has gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of access.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, can you afford it?
Yeah.
It's
inflation,
of,
everything is
it's like
change the game.
So that was kind of like in a nutshell what I went through growing up in Newark. I never went through hunger, but I did see that there were people going through hunger, and I never liked it. I would always. My mom. When I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
They were raising money for the homeless and the people who couldn't eat. And I stole $20 out of her bag and gave it to the teacher.
Yeah.
My mom was the cafeteria lady.
Yeah.
And the teacher went to my mom, because $20 back then was a lot of money.
Right. Like, excuse me, miss, hold on a second.
Yeah, she's like, your daughter gave this to us for the I think it was during Thanksgiving or something. And I got into so much trouble. Yeah. But then my mom afterwards was like, I understand why you did it.
It's a deeper reason,
I get it. And ever since then, I'm a humanitarian before I'm a singer. When I'm walking to a gig, if I have food on me, which I usually do, I got a snack, tea, water, something. Yeah. If you're asking me for food, I'm going to give you this. Yeah. I'm going to give you what I can, or I'm going to take you to the bodega and buy you something. Yeah. So it's always been a passion of mine to see people fed. And it's, it's a beautiful thing to be able to eat and break bread with people and have a conversation with somebody that you don't even know. And that happens over food. Yeah. Yeah. Food 100%. Is a big connector for communication. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think, and even looking at those parallels, which is like to your point, super prevalent in the U.S. I think one thing, being so bogged down in our U.S. bubble, we tend to forget what does this look like abroad and like different places? And I know you've traveled to Angola.
Yes.
Yes.
Angola.
First off, shouts out to that. That's amazing. And just being in other spaces, like I've been to a couple different places. Like
Saudades.
I went to Nicaragua, and that was just a whole. And that talk about food experience. That's a whole other level. We could talk about in another episode.
Yes.
But it's just so. But I would love to hear more about your experience there, and like the parallels you may have seen, like with what you've seen growing up, and even now, and what you may have seen over there, like how food culturally and connectively, operates.
Well, number one, the food is delicious.
Okay, I bet.
I was vegan when I went to Angola. I was. It lasted the first trip. I went for 2 weeks and I was struggling a bit because the seafood is so fresh out there. And the meat is so fresh out there. Then when I went the second time, I was like, well, I'm not vegan anymore, but the food is delicious. The food prepared is amazing. One of their staples is funge, which is it's the same thing as fufu in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
It's a cassava cornmeal base.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So they'll make that. You see, because the thing. Okay, let me backtrace. I was able to go to restaurants to eat because the dollar to Kwanzaa, dollar is worth way more than the Kwanzaa.
Right, yeah.
Angola is still a developing country. They just got their independence in the 60s or 70s, right?
Yeah, fresh.
So it's still something that's being developed. There are restaurants that the majority of Angolans can't afford, and that's the reality.
Even there. Yeah.
Even there.
Yeah.
But the communities that when you go into like the barrio, the hood, like you eat really good because it's a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
You know,
for real.
like I'm spoiled over here with restaurants. I know chefs, and so they're still learning how to season stuff in the restaurants. No offense.
Yeah.
I preferred the home cooked meals. The funge was everything.
Yeah.
But then again, there's also a lot of children, adults, elderly, starving, like babies shining shoes so they could make money. But then they don't spend the money on food. They spend it on airplane fuel so that they can inhale it and get high.
Wow.
And then whatever's left after they spend that money, they'll get food.
Wow.
You know, so some of the kids out there had to do the same thing. They were like, can I have some money? I'm like, you want food? I'll buy you bread.
Yeah.
I'll get you a hamburger or a pizza. No, I want the money. Well, then I can't. And it broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because the difference is out there is the babies are asking you.
Yeah.
They're coming up to you with their bright, beautiful eyes and just asking for food. And it's like, I want to feed all of you and I can't.
It breaks your heart more. Yeah.
Right. So that was a part of Angola that I'm sure everywhere it's been getting worse for everybody. It's been a struggle to feed. And again, going back to what I said in the first question, like there's enough land.
Yeah.
There's enough. It's just there's access, but there's not the money. Yeah. So that was kind of what was going on over there.
So I think in looking at things like that, I know and you got to perform there as well. I saw videos of you performing there as well.
I went to perform at the International Jazz Festival, and I also performed at 16 Days of Activism Against Violence Against Women, children, and gender.
Wow. How did you get involved in doing that, and what was the experience like with that?
Well, that was my dear friend Marcy DePina. Shout out to Marcy.
All right.
She's one of Newark's legendary Queens people, a pillar of connecting artists to opportunities. And she's an artist herself. Her and Legia, she's I forget her title, a director in regards to cross-cultural affairs. The idea was to have 5 artists from Angola come here and 5 artists from Newark go to Angola at the same time.
A crossover. Okay, cool, yeah.
Unfortunately, America denied the 5 Angolan artists their visa.
Of course.
And they weren't able to come in during that time, but we got to spend time with them over there.
Wow.
So the idea was to go perform for the jazz festival.
Yeah.
And than the visual. It was a mixture of musical artists and visual artists because Angola has a lot of visual artists. They're actually called artistas plásticas, which translates to plastic artists.
Right.
Because the majority of them use the garbage that they use. They don't believe in They don't like the pollution that's going on out there because there's a lot of plastic pollution everywhere. But Angola it's really bad as well. So the artists find the trash that they find on their way home or whatever, pick it up and use it for artwork.
They repurpose it. Okay,
They
wow.
repurpose it insanely well. Like it's majestic to watch. So that's why that was the idea. The idea is to have Newark and Angola become a sister city.
Yes.
And I'm hearing through the grapevine that this January we'll probably have the Angolan artists finally be able to come over here.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
And so they've been working really hard on that, and I'm crossing my fingers for them because
absolutely. Can we share that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We want good energy.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
And if you know anyone who can make that happen, hit me up.
Exactly. There it is. You heard it.
So it was just it was really a transformative experience. It was my first time in Africa. I always knew that I wanted to go to Africa, but it became more of a realization, especially during COVID. I wanted to get to my roots.
Yes.
And I know that that's where they are.
Yeah.
Even though I'm from Puerto Rico, I know my roots are in Africa. And it was transformative, magical. Something I'll never forget. I hold the people of Angola right here. It's my second home now.
Yeah.
And I love them. So yeah.
How long were you there?
First time around 2 weeks. Second time around 7 months.
That works.
Yeah.
That works. So you need that time.
Yeah, I got offered a teaching position out there.
Oh, cool.
As a music educator.
Okay. Awesome.
And it was a good time. But then I got sick with malaria.
Oh yeah.
The mosquitoes out there hit a little differently.
They're real, yeah.
And because I'm from over here, even though I was taking the pills for the malaria, it still got me because I was there during malaria season. Not to frighten anyone.
No, I mean
it's just we have stuff that's out there. Luckily enough, I stayed at a wonderful clinic where it was mostly female Angolan doctors,
nice.
And I was thoroughly impressed by this clinic. They took excellent care of me. Again, not something that all Angolans can afford, but it's there. Yeah. So hopefully in the future, as this country develops, facilities like that become more available for the people.
Yeah, for sure. I want to make sure we have a bit of time because I want to ask you one more question.
Absolutely.
And then love to hear your voice. But in that, I want to know, do you feel, with you going and doing things like going to Jazz Festival and for particular cause such as that, supporting women, do you feel music, historically we know music as a tool, as like a soundtrack to movement, right? And the civil rights movement, things of that nature. Right. Do you feel music of today is moving in a direction where it's amplifying that more? Do you feel like it, we could use more of it? What would be your particular take?
I do see a change. In my circle of circles, right? The artists that I've been meeting are changing the world through their music. And I know a lot of artists. There are still those that I wish would work on it. Yeah. There's a quote that one of my high school teachers said to me, my drama coach. She said, love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art. And I use that to this day.
That was nice.
I don't know who made that quote. I got to look it up. But I use that constantly. Yeah. And that's something that I wish more artists in my spectrum would do. Yeah. Don't worry about the numbers. One of my favorite artists is Nina Simone, Eunice Wayman, right?
Listen.
I should have mentioned her in my first question too, because that's a big inspiration for me.
Super, yeah.
And
I can feel that, yeah.
Quotes she says is an artist's duty is to reflect the times.
Yes.
She believes that for sculptors, for painters, for musicians, for poets, everybody.
Yes.
And it's most important for musicians to do that.
Yes.
You got that voice where you could connect with people and touch their lives in a better way, do that.
Yeah.
You have that voice, you have that platform where you can inspire a Black man, a Black woman, a brown man, a brown woman to do better.
Yes.
Do that.
Yes.
Stop doing this other stuff.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. It's already done.
It's done.
It's been done.
To the hilt.
It's been done, and now y'all replicating the same videos.
Yes.
Stop it. Just stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. We don't stop the video. I'm talking to those people.
Yeah,
Stop it.
yeah.
It's already been done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to do what I'm saying you to do. I'm saying I would like for it to happen.
To see, yeah, you would like to see it do something.
I'd like to see it. I do feel like there is progress.
Yes.
But there's a lot of more work to do because we still got people who are hungry.
Yeah.
We still got greed out there. We still got people who are suffering mental illnesses. And, sometimes one song
can change.
Take you right out of that depression.
Yeah.
Take you right out of that drug addiction that you can't control.
Yeah.
Right? So I wish for my artist community to, the ones that are still doing the work, keep doing the work and don't be so hard on yourself.
Yes.
And the ones who aren't doing the work, step it up.
You heard it. Step it up. I concur. Step it up out here. So I much appreciated for that. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Can you just, before we get into some music, could you just let folks know where they can find you, where they can come see you perform, all the things?
Well, JanetZa here. You can find me on my Instagram. That's the place I upload the most for my performing events. It's at JANE.TZA. Working on my website, working on my first album.
Yes.
My performances are in the tri-state area, but mostly in Newark, New Jersey, Brick City, my home.
Yes.
I love to give back to my community by performing for my community. And I am blessed to be in a position now where the majority of my friends curate events and get grants and get the money out so that artists can get paid. So I appreciate the community because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to start singing more in my community, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. That's so amazing. You can find me in Brick City often. Besides that, I post everything online on Instagram, and so you can find all my information there.
Yes, awesome. So if you're in Brick City, make sure you hit her up, all right? Yeah. So we want to take some time and get serenaded by the amazing JanetZa, who's going to perform a song for us, a cappella style. We keep it nice and stripped down here. Yes. Get to the soul of the music, right? So, JanetZa, please bless us, if you will.
Think about the generations and say we want to make it a better place for our children and our children's children, so that they know it's a better world for them. And think if they can make it a better place. There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place, it was much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place you'll feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place. Heal the world. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, place. Make it a better place for you and for me. For you and for me. For you and me.
Oh my God.
Now, that's a cover
Yes.
of Michael Jackson's Heal the World. That's
That's
just the first verse.
Yes.
I did it recently for a gala event for NJCRI, and I had to do it again tonight because my heart is really with Palestine right now, with the Palestinians, with Israel, with the people.
Yes.
And so my hope is that with people hearing that song, change your heart for the better.
Yes.
Be kind to others. Heal this world by being an example yourself. Because what you do can inspire a multitude of people.
Yes. Kindness is underrated in this society, so listen. JanetZa, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the first episode of Voices at the Root. We look forward to more. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to Why Hunger at Why Hunger on YouTube. Make sure you follow all our social channels at Why Hunger Pics on Instagram, at Why Hunger on X, I guess it's called, at Why Hunger Fans on Facebook, and at Why Hunger on LinkedIn, and Why Hunger Talk on TikTok.
Hey.
Much love to you all. This has been Voices at the Root. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Peace, everybody.